In the Oval Office, as Donald Trump, Tony Blair and Jared Kushner huddled together discussing the day after in Gaza. One man with a Nobel nomination in his back pocket, another with a luxury developer's eye, and a third promising to end in months what generations have failed to resolve. If it sounds like theatre, that's because frankly it is. But the stage is deadly real. Gaza is in famine, 60,000 dead, and an Israeli assault in Gaza City looming. And Trump has flirted with the idea of America owning Gaza, literally. Troops on the ground, a strip turned into the Riviera of the Middle East. It's part Las Vegas pitch, part imperial fantasy, and his envoy Steve Witkoff speaks of humanitarian motives and a comprehensive plan, yet details remain murky. Blair, with his history as quartet envoy, lends gravitas and perhaps a veneer of respectability to what otherwise looks like an improvised state building on sand. The risks: Gaza is occupied territory. Trump's ownership idea borders on annexation and would struggle with the reality of international law. Saudi Arabia and others have flatly rejected any forced relocation of Palestinians, and so the displacement idea, which is floated by Israel, simply won't work. Netanyahu sees benefit in prolonging the war, his own political purpose, his own idea of legal avoidance. Trump wants quick headlines and a ceasefire he can claim as victory. The two may talk past each other. UN officials say famine is man-made. It's a humanitarian catastrophe created by Netanyahu's plans. Tanks pushed into Gaza City, even as a food distribution plan is being drawn up in Washington. And every time people go for food, for aid, they get shot. For Blair, the risk is obvious. He positions himself as a fixer above party politics, but his involvement risks recalling Iraq, outside powers drawing lines on Middle Eastern maps. For Trump, it's about brand. He once released an AI-generated promo video of Gaza as a luxury resort. To critics, that sums up his approach. Glossy renderings masking unresolved political realities. And there are options. Blair's favoured idea for a third-party authority, not Hamas, but the Palestinian Authority, and not Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but an international or regional caretaker body to control the area. I think Blair is wrong. I think the only authority that should be controlling Gaza is the Palestinian Authority, but it needs help. There's an idea of international forces, troops from the Arab states, perhaps NATO, tasked with keeping order and enabling aid, a stabilization force, and Netanyahu's proposal, which is Israeli-dictated civilian authority, which excludes both Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. That leaves a power vacuum, and that leaves Israel effectively as a de facto imperial authority. The Trump's fantasy of an American ownership state creating jobs and resorts is politically and legally untenable. The wider picture: Britain and France hint at recognizing Palestinian statehood. Denmark is poised to do the same. Germany has ruled that out. Well, the reality is it is inevitable. The Pope Leo, has warned against collective punishment. He's absolutely right. Israel sees more protesters in Tel Aviv demanding hostages should be prioritized over this endless war. It doesn't mean that Israelis are automatically thinking about a life post-Netanyahu. There isn't really an alternative leader in Israel poised to take over from Netanyahu unless the opposition were to win a general election. That isn't likely to happen immediately. The Security Council, the UN, minus Washington, calls the famine a man-made crisis, and that must spear some sort of decision-making at some point. But the UN events take a long time to percolate up. So Trump can promise a conclusive ending in 2 or 3 weeks, but that's just words. And the machinery of war continues to grind on. And I'm afraid the reality of the situation is not something that will be resolved with a click of Trump's fingers, the UN fingers, the Pope, or indeed Europe. The reality lies in Israel and with Israel. And should the Knesset, should the government collapse, which it is tottering, it is definitely tottering, then there could be a general election, in which case there might well be a resolution. But when Blair lends his name, it signals some seriousness. When Trump lends his imagination, it signals volatility. Those two things don't go together. The tragedy is that for Gaza's people, neither gravitas nor bravado has yet delivered food, safety, or dignity. Instead, the future of their ruined strip is treated like a real estate deal with blueprints that are kept under lock and key and are not realized. At some point, Israel, I think, maybe backed up by some American support, is going to have to rebuild Gaza. And the people who should live there are Gazans.